Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Nathaniel J. Carrasco. Welcome to the Sky Media Ventures podcast, season 2, episode 9. Guys, we have a very fantastic in-house guest, Michael David, owner of the Michael David Collection. He is a sound music producer. He is a owner of a custom tailor suit company. And today, Michael is going to be sharing his story, sharing his insight and value on how he created his company, how his journey has been so far. So, Michael, thank you for coming on the podcast, man.
Oh, man.
Welcome. And
Hey.
how you feeling today, bud?
I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good in here.
Not only are you feeling good, you're looking spiffy.
Oh, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah. You know, usually we don't dress. I'll just have a regular T-shirt. Some of our guests will have T-shirts on.
Yeah.
But when Michael David, custom suit guy, was coming on, Ben, we had to get our suits.
That's great.
But yeah, Ben's in the back. He's the producer. But hey, David, I want to hop straight into it. So, what made you first thing? Someone's looking at you and they're thinking, "Wow, first impressions matter."
Yeah.
This guy is sharp. What made you want to start a custom suit company?
Few things. So the first real thing that came to my mind is when I was working at Menswear House, I realized I was really good at what I do. And I knew I wasn't trying to stay there long. I was there already for 7 years. As COVID happened, and customers were still calling me. They were like, "Hey, I know you're the guy who can still design stuff, style us out. You know where to get stuff done, and you know how to get it done."
Sure.
And I'm like, "That's not possible. There's no stores." And they were like, "Figure it out." So what really came to mind was like, okay, cool. So now that customers need this, I'm gonna provide it. So that was like the first uninitial start of the brand. And but then the second one was, I remember just looking at some of my tailors at the store because I was 21 and I was a part of the management team, and I knew how much they were getting paid. And I was like, it's because, I mean, at the time, what was it like? Hey, sorry if I'm putting y'all out on business, but it was about like $19, not even 20. And I'm talking about these guys were about 60, some of them like 40 to 60 years in the business. This level of tailorship deserves more, like almost $40 an hour. So I was like, maybe I could provide a better way to pay them. And I used to. I'm gonna say it, Prosper. Was my guy from the beginning, and we've done a lot of business when I was at Menswear House and helping them get an opportunity to make extra cash on the side. So
I love how you took a time where people were uncertain about what was happening, and while people were uncertain and while people were going out of business, you were looking at this time to go into business.
Yeah, well, I didn't get any funding from the government. They didn't make it easy for me. They were like, everybody's getting their stipends and their checks, and I only got $1,300 the first time when they were doing a helping service, whatever they're doing. And then after that, like, everybody's getting unemployment. I never got $1 until like 2 years later.
Wow.
So I was like, it's either I find out how to make $1 or not. So I was selling music, instrumentals, creating songs for people, recording people, and designing suits.
Wow.
For my clients.
It's 2025. Have you been designing suits for half a decade now?
I've been designing suits, for half a decade. I've actually more than that. I started with Menswear House made to measure program. I graduated when I graduated high school, 2015, so 2016, and I've been styling since I was 2015.
Wow.
So.
Well, I mean, if you've been styling since 2015, we're in 2025, so that's a decade.
That's a decade.
However, the last 5 years, you've been an entrepreneur.
The last 2019, yes. I went out in entrepreneurship for the last 5 years, yes.
Isn't that so cool how you were working at Men's Warehouse and you said, hey, there is more value here and I'm an employee, so they have to pay me X amount.
Yeah.
And you just said, let me just take my future into my own hands.
Yeah. That was pretty scary. I don't think I would.
It is scary.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I don't think I would have did it if I didn't pray on it. I'll be honest with you, like, it took me. I wasn't confident in myself on the decision, honestly. It took a lot of prayer, And I remember one time a client actually texted me. I went to my grandma's house and I was sleeping on the couch for that morning, and I was just too tired to drive back to Delray. And I looked at my grandma. I said, "Grandma, I'm getting yelled at by a client, and I just don't have time for them, but I know they make me money." She says, "Well, I guess it's time for you." And we both said, "Quit my job." And then I was like, I made a family at Menswear House. I left,
Ooh.
so it's like, I still visit them. I still give them hugs. Shout out to the Boynton Beach store. They all know me already. Shout out to McKendy, the guy who taught me how to sew a lot, outside of my grandmother and my great grandma. Shout out to Prosper. Shout out to Carlo. All these guys, and Mama Charlene, Joe Rosado.
You're so selfless, man. I really appreciate that about you. Like, even though you've created your own business, you've had success, you're looking back at the people who put you on, and who taught you, and you're like, hey, I need to give the recognition that they deserve, because I think they were a part of those pieces to help you create that full puzzle. And maybe it's not completely put together, because there's still stuff in the future that you probably gotta look forward to.
Yeah. I just love them. They loved me as like I was their own son, and they helped me get through college and pay for college. Wow. And shout out to Mama Jackie too.
Wait, that's my mother.
Yeah, Mama Jackie.
How did, for the audience, just so you know a little context, because I know my mom connected us together years ago. Tell us, what did Mama Jackie do?
So Mama Jackie, I was supposed to move out the neighborhood, and I was like, I can't move back home yet. I gotta handle business. My whole objective of moving to Boca Delray Beach was to make money. And I said, I'm not going back home until I got some money to take care of my own family, and to start a new family. So, there's just some things that I just couldn't move home with right now, because not that much, it wasn't enough space for what I'm trying to do over there. So I looked at your mama, and your mama's like, I'm gonna take care of you. I see that you're passionate. I see what you're doing. I see you have a heart. And boy, she took care of me. She got me a place to stay. One of the best, even though I probably drove her crazy. I'll be honest, I drove her a little crazy at times. Your mom and your dad both hooked me up, and your dad still hooks me up to this day, and always giving me advice, and like another uncle, so.
And every time they bring up Michael David, they only have great things to say about you. Yeah. Even when it's 7 p.m. at night and we're all winding down watching television, they're like, "Yo, Nate, did you talk to Michael David?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we hung out."
Yeah. Mama Jackie.
Big shout out to moms. But, I'm super duper. What I love, dude, is when an entrepreneur creates their home environment tailored to their entrepreneurial ways and spirit. And just the other day, you and I were hanging out. I was picking out the trash, and I was coming back, and you were like, "Hey, Nate, come upstairs for a second." I came upstairs. I don't know if I walked into an apartment or if I walked into a department store. And I'm like, wow, like this guy is like really serious. He has like his closet is tailored to like the music he produces. His room and living room area is where his clients like to get, shown some of the product and then get the measurements. Dude, so what was that thinking like? That like you had to create your environment to your business? Like, do you remember like thinking like, man, I need to go ahead and just morph my living situation so it can reflect my business?
So COVID, it was pretty cool because shout out to the Mr. Johnson and his son Drew Johnson, Kufo, all my friends who we made music with, Brendan Spencer, known as Civil. We were making music in an apartment when we had the 3-2, and we were crammed up in an apartment during COVID, and we were making music, and I was doing business at home during COVID, so that inspired that. And so this new apartment.
Sorry to interrupt, but during COVID, you were making music.
I was making music and clothes.
Wow.
I was literally like
making something.
Yeah. Literally my whole life, I felt like I've always made something. Even to the point when I was a kid, my mom used to be like, "Why do you take Why do you want to throw this out? I said, because one man trash another man's treasure. That was my earliest memories of creativity. Sure. So, but going back to that, the plan was started from COVID, and then when I moved to the next apartment, I had the vision of changing at least my bedroom into a studio, and I just didn't know because I did it before, so I'm gonna do it again. And then the next thing was I wasn't comfortable having my high-end clients coming into my living room space because, you know, I charge good money for the garments and I want the good garments to reflect the type of work I do. So I didn't think high-end clients would appreciate that. But then I had to be honest and say to myself, well, I sell a high-end garment not because of my environment is always high-end, but my service is high-end.
Wow.
I care about them, and I'm going to go out of my way to go buy the right fabrics, do the right construction, get the right team members to accomplish a goal for every client. So
people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
You know, oh, wow. That blew my mind right there.
Okay.
Yo, yeah. So yeah, no, it's
So that's a part of the service too. So like I feel you. I felt the same way. It's like when I'm talking to clients in the marketplace that they're looking for more business. So I'm running ads for them. Yes, I'm running the ads and that's just the product, but it's also the communication and the service and the uniqueness and the art of dealing with that client. And that adds to your value.
Yes. They never recognize, they only see the people who bought like the expensive building. But as a person who's been in high-end retail and seen many high-end retailers, and I have a lot of high-end stylist friends, people will spend the money to make it look good, but what is the heart of the intent of the consultant taking care of you? Right. And I've had to just do a heart check every time and say, my whole brand is built off of serving people at their feet. If I have to come to your house, which I've been doing for 5 years.
Well, if you're building, you're serving people at their feet because you're transforming their entire appearance.
Yeah.
From shoes, socks, pants, slacks, dress shirt, suit.
Yes.
Wow.
Even I started off driving to people's homes. You know, I used to go to people's homes all the time. I mean, 12 o'clock at night. You know, like
dedication right
I've went to Vegas, to take care of some clients, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, like. You can ask some of the Raiders players, the ones who know me. I'm not going to put your names out there because you're just my homies, I don't got to do that. Right. But people know that Michael David will come by, middle of the night, drop off your clothes. Hey, you need a dry clean, you need alterations, you need a last-minute thing. If I could do it, I'm going to do it. So.
It's such a good, strong brand name. Michael David.
Yeah.
Michael David Collective,
Yeah.
It's strong.
Yeah.
So there's the branding power behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about some of the. I'm just kind of curious. Tell us about some of the clients that you've worked with in the past. Like you said a couple Raiders. What are some other clients that you did not even expect that you would work with your own company? And I'll tell you some of mine too.
Yeah, I would say right now, I didn't know if I was ever going to be able to do the Dolphins.
Wow. So
the coolest thing was when I was 8. I loved the Dolphins because my uncle took me to a training facility out there in Davie. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dang, this looks cool. Them boys are huge. So
it looks small on TV.
I mean, I had a feeling I would work with this person, but, John Jenkins, a good friend of mine now, person who's helped my business grow a lot, who now plays for the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't ever think I'd work with a person like him, especially with a person with that big of a heart like him.
Sure.
Then Zach Sealer, who is now the captain of the Dolphins, I worked with Jalen Phillips, one of my favorite guys, I mean, the list goes on. Christian Wilkins for the Dolphins. I never thought I'd work with a guy like Christian Wilkins. He's great,
What makes Christian especially?
Oh, man, he's funny. I don't care what nobody says. That man is the funniest guy, ever, really and truthfully. List goes on. I mean, we can go to, and then, the sheriff of Jacksonville, Mr. T.K. Waters, who's doing such a great mission out in Jacksonville. I mean, the list, man, that's a good question. I never really would have thought of. I don't have enough answers for that. There's a lot of people. Michael Caruso.
That sounds so familiar.
Yeah, man. State representative.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Michael Caruso. I actually worked with him worked with him at menswear, but his son JP Caruso, who was the owner of Three Natives, got to work with him. There's just too many people.
Michael, sometimes when people hear about business success, they see the results and they're like, wow, like that's a little bit unattainable. But were there times in your business journey where there was a little uncertain, or there were some humps where you had to go through, and were you proud of yourself after you went through the hump?
Well, I was scared. I would even say I was proud of myself, because there was a point that it's like, so I'm a man of faith. I'm completely from the jump.
Amen.
You know, so I can't even say that it was me, because some of the decisions that I've done, if I didn't pray, I would have did the wrong move. I kid you not. And I mean, I've seen negative accounts. You know, I'm like, how am I selling this garments and not being able to make this? And then I'm like, am I even pricing this out right? Am I even doing this right? Am I even worthy?
Selling it for $1,700 and it probably cost you $2,000. It's like, wait, there's a negative somewhere.
You know, like my mindset was never to make money. Like, I kid you not. It was to make money, but it was really to be like, how can I serve you at the highest capacity? Mm-hmm. And I knew that was going to make me money. How can I be my genuine self? And honestly, I've had negatives. I've had plenty of negatives. I've actually taken chances and flown out to places with no money.
Wow.
You know, business credit lines, you know. But it was just like,
so there was a time where you were low on money, but you had a client in a different state. They wanted alterations, a tailor, and that was a risk.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
But because you stand on your word and your business and your brand, you went out there anyways.
If I could fix it, I'm gonna do it. If I need to do anything for you, I'm gonna do it. If I said I'm gonna do it, if I did not do it, I can't sleep at night. So, and it almost was like I tied my success to how I please other people in that way. And if I couldn't do that, brother, then I don't feel like I deserve to be in business. Sure. You know, because that's just it. You know.
Tell us a little bit about the music side. How did you get into making music, making instrumentals, like the music side of things?
Oh man, well first and foremost, I never wanted to do anything art related. To tell you the truth, I'm from Fort Lauderdale, from Broward specifically. Lived in Plantation majority of my life.
Big shout out Plantation.
Plantation, you know. So how'd I get into music?
Was it just a bunch of friends in college or in high school, and they're just getting together, rapping, and they're like, man, we need to hit some beats? Or what was your guys' story? I
have a friend, still a friend, Elijah Owell. We were about like 6, 7 years old, first, second grade. First grade, actually. And there was a Green Day, right? At the time, you know, we going to this private school, Our Savior Lutheran. It was only like, you got this light-skinned black dude, and you got me. And you got the brown, dark-skinned dude, you know? Brown skin, whatever. But I'm like, man, these white girls like Green Day. I said, we looked at each other, it's like, well, let's learn guitar. We got a guitar teacher right here. And so I fell in love with that, and I fell in love with the process, and 2 months later, I became really good at guitar.
You're Green Day, the band, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I walk a lonely road. Okay. So you noticed that the girls liked Green Day.
Yeah.
So you were like, okay, I need to get into music. I need to become
immediately. I needed to be the star of the show. I needed to be the guy at the beginning of, like, I wanted to be the top of the class. So I had to beat the beginners for my own self. Sure. I took that guitar home. Well, I didn't have a guitar at first. And I actually had to wait. So I had to sit inside the music class, and I'm seeing these kids tune their guitar. So I grabbed my guitar when my grandma got it. I tried to tune it with my own ear based off the notes that I remembered hearing. So da 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 da. So I was like, oh, these are the notes on the guitar. That's what I heard. Let me go back home and tune this. You know, and I ended up breaking the fretboard and smacking my face. Because if you tune the guitar too much, boom, you know.
Oh, it probably
smacked me in my face.
Wow.
So then we had to return.
Be careful with that.
Yeah. So that fast forward, got really good at guitar, Really improved on that. And then afterwards, years later, I quit, played basketball. Just wanted to get competitive because girls like basketball now, you know. And my guys play basketball, and the people who respect it are athletes. So I did that. Then to come back to my music teacher, who ended up becoming a father to me, Guy Shepherd, you know, a second father to me, I should say. I have my dad. And Guy really raised me as a talented musician and got me into Dillard High School. That's when I learned how to start making beats. And that's when I started seeing people like me, you know, in Fort Lauderdale, who, I mean, very similar upbringings, very similar characters, different than what I would see in Plantation. Be creative and very smart. And that's when I started embracing what Guy Shepherd was telling me, that you are actually a creative. And I was like, man, because I used to get jumped by my family. My cousins they some tough people.
Tough love.
Tough love. I used to get jumped breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Y'all could quote me on that, you know. If you know, you know.
You're one of the cousins.
Yeah, no, hey. If you one of the neighborhood boys with me, you know. So, and that made me creative. That made me learn how to figure things out and know who I am. Because at first I was scared to be creative because being creative was quote unquote sus, you know, or being creative was quote unquote this.
Well, yeah, and I kind of agree with you. We live in different times than we did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago, if you were posting on social media and you were kind of being creative and goofy and trying to create a following, that was kind of like, it was like a stigma. You're like, oh, you're a social media person. Nowadays, we're starting to realize everybody's addicted to social media, and if you're not creating, you're getting left behind.
Yes.
You know, that's my own personal opinion.
Yes.
You know, everybody's addicted to their phones. And it's like, okay, well, what kind of creations are you putting out there for people to at least, you know, look at what you have to offer, you know, to the world?
Yeah, man. And that's literally it. If only I started. I've started things back in high school and in college that I wish if I was more comfortable with who I truly was and am, and business would have been different for me.
Right.
You know, maybe I would have been able to really take care of certain things in my family that I really wanted to take care of when I was 18, maybe 16. So,
yeah, and don't beat yourself up to it.
Yeah.
I think if we would have known better, we would do better.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what that is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I feel you. So 6 years ago, 7 years ago, if I knew better and if I knew the secondary ramifications of my actions, I don't think I would have done those things. But we don't learn until when? After the fact.
Yeah, bro. There's this one verse that I love, is where sin abounds, grace on top of grace abounds.
What's that mean?
So basically, say like if you look at sin, you know, we all know what sin is. Right, but in my terminology, what I love about this is whether I make a mistake, you know, the Lord will always love me and show me grace. His grace is way beyond my understanding. So, and no matter how much, He will always show me grace, especially if my heart posture is in the right area, where it's like, hey, look, I want more of you than I want to move with my fleshly manner, more than I want to actually move with my sinful desires, you know? So, and He's always forgiving. His something called forbearance and long suffering. You know, His heart pleads for us. So, and
it is, I don't know, I've noticed this especially these last couple of years. And as a Christian, some days when I don't pray to God, things kind of, you know, I'm having a little bit harder days. But days when I start my day in prayer, communicating to God, open, loving, praying for those I love, being grateful of what we currently have. Yeah. You know, it creates I think sometimes God answers us in things that we do. And for example, when the times where I'd really pray to God and build that relationship first thing in the morning, the very first phone call I would make or the very first business owner I would see, they would want to buy. Like they would want to do business. Yeah. And I'm just thinking like, God, is that you? Then another time I did it again, just prayed to God, where in like those 5 days, maybe I didn't pray, but that Thursday I was praying. First call. And then like, I wouldn't pray, I wouldn't start my day, you know, because we're facing this thing called ego and pride. But then you humble yourself real quick. God,
Yeah.
I need all the help.
Yeah.
Please help me. And then boom, like it's almost like God's like showing us answers. Like he wants us to put him in everything that we do.
Yes.
And like he's like testing us.
Yeah.
He's testing us, and it's like this little battle, because then we start getting success, and sometimes we have to remember to keep praying to God and keep remembering it's all about him.
Yeah.
And then we start to get like, well, because I just did this, or I'm pretty cool at this, and it's like, I think it's all about him.
You made it such a big, evident key point, because the Bible talks about humble yourself and you'll be exalted. Exalt yourself and you'll be humbled. So it's like,
right.
And this is the words from Jesus, like, and I've gone through periods in my business where I have not humbled myself. Even this morning, there was something that I was tugging within my heart, and I woke up with the craziest dream. I kid you not. And it was like, I did something in this dream that I knew was wrong. And I woke up and I just prayed, and I'm like, God, I would never do something like that. And it was almost like he was trying to tell me, this is what it feels like when you hurt me. Because the person I did this to in my dream, I hurt. And he was like, this is how I feel when you hurt me, but I still love you. And that to me, like, that heartstrings was like, oh, man, oh, you're a different level. You're definitely beyond my understanding, because if I did it to somebody, I personally would resent you for a long time, if not forever, but you love me that much. And he just wants to make himself evident. And that's one of those experiences as an entrepreneur, actually. And you're talking about pride, I think that's the biggest part of my entrepreneurship, is that part of my faith. Because a lot of entrepreneurs would be like, oh, my pride is this and my pride is that. Brother, if I had my pride, I'll just say it, transparency. Like, this summer was the roughest summer I had in a long time. A lot of crazy changes, and I literally was sitting down like, God, what the heck is going to happen? How am I going to do all this? And he just kept reminding me, like, okay, when the rent increased the first time, you had your 3 roommates. You were like, I went from $700 to $1,000. I'm like, bro, I'm not going to be able to pay $1,000 a month, Lord, with a car, And then the crazy insurance, because I messed up at 18. But this is where God's grace was sufficient in my life, and how I always use this and say, that's a tool. I messed up. My car payment was literally, what was it? $650, because of a bad car deal that I should have just returned the car, but I was too much. My pride was in the way. And then on top
Must
of
have
that,
been a nice car.
No, it was a Toyota Corolla 2020.
Okay.
I traded in a car that I had negative equity on, and I didn't know about the business, and I was just trying to get a car under my name, which I'm not going to put the individual's name out there. And it kind of ruined me. And technically, it was both of our faults, but I take responsibility, because I should have listened to my grandma when she said, just return the car. Don't have your pride. And my pride led me to losing $600 a month for a $250 car. On top of that, the insurance was $700. So I'm paying $1,300, I got to get financial help now, and I'm causing a strain to this person and myself. So that was pride, right? And this is where God's grace was sufficient. My rent went from $300, because, rent's going to go up. So my boys are like, yo, you make the more money, so you're going to, and you got the bigger room. So I'm like, $700 to $1,000. Dang, how am I going to add that up? God's grace was sufficient. I made a mistake, but he still covered me through. Then coming to this summer, like certain things that I could have done better, his grace was sufficient. So every time I made this mistake, I'm like, oh, shoot, how am I going to pay all this, Lord? And he's like, I'm going to make a way. Because I look by when he literally says,
I love it. I'm going to make a way.
Luke 12:22, verse 34, literally talks about how much he loves us, because he could take care of the birds. The birds do not reap nor sow, but he still gets fed. Whether they get fed crumbs, they're being fed and they're taken care of. He says you never have to worry. You don't have to worry. So that I live by that. So like, even when like if I see accounts looking crazy and I'm like, I've worked this hard. I've had these sleepless nights. Next month, and as an entrepreneur, it's all over. It's like, oh, that's what I was worried about last month. That's all it took for me to have one transaction,
Right.
and I'm cool, or maybe 5 transactions back to back to back, and coming back to that point in prayer and a hard time. I went to the Lord like I was angry. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't get angry with God because I know and I understand it. But I'm a human. We're spirit, but we're also human, right? So I'm like in myself, like, man, I'm upset. You said you're a good father. What's going on? Just being real. And he responds back, and all I vividly heard was, rewrite your mission statement. And that's when it kind of like put me at where Jesus washed his disciples' feet before he's gonna die. All right? He washes their feet. That sounds so backwards. This person who's supposed to be labeled as King of Kings, Lord of Lords, is washing his people's feet. So you're telling me the real king is supposed to serve people? And in that statement, I said, I will serve my clients at their feet. Whether, you know what I mean? Whether I like it or not. What is it going to take me to serve you at your feet? What is it going to take me to serve my contractor at their feet, my employee at their feet, my girlfriend at their feet, who I want to be my wife, my mom, my friends? What does that look like? And in return, like, hey, we'll see what the finance looks afterwards. Because I know I'll be taken care of.
God got you.
Yeah,
He got us.
Yeah.
As long as we humble ourselves.
That's it. And yeah, that's all. That's really it.
Michael, what's one of your give me one of your favorite stories out the Bible? My sister and I, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. My sister Tabby, big shout out Tabby. And she was telling me, she goes, Nate, more people need to start reading the Bible because there's so many cool stories. And she was telling me some crazy stories. Is there a particular story that you like out the Bible?
So my favorite right now is Paul. So funny story. I used to be David because my mom named me after Michael David. Oh, Michael David because of the archangel, but and David because David is a musician. She said 3 years before I was born, she had a dream and she had a vision from God that said, you're going to become a musician. I looked at her like, you crazy. I literally looked at my mom when I was younger. I said, I am not going to be a musician when I grow up. After like 12, and I quit music, and look at me now. So that used to be my favorite story, David and Goliath. But now it's about Paul because it's a man who had it all wrong.
Right. His first name was Saul first.
Yeah,
He hated Christians.
Killed them.
Killed them.
Killed Christians. But this is where I keep saying, like, God's grace is sufficient. He was moving in the idea to say, this is the God that I know is the right God. And then he realized the God that he knew was a complete misinterpretation of who the real King of Kings was. So he was killing these people who said they met the real Jesus, who said they called him a liar, blasphemer. And then in Acts 9, right? This is when I love gangster stories when I was a kid. And before I came to Christ, I was like, man, I can't be a Christian because sometimes I felt that way. I didn't verbally say it because I felt like Christians was too soft. And then I seen Jesus do one of the most gangster things I've ever seen in my life. Ever. So, he's on his way into Damascus, I believe, and he's about to go kill these boys. So when he gets there, he gets blinded by the Lord himself. And the Lord tells him, Paul, why do you persecute me? And then I said to myself, why would Jesus say persecute me? But Paul was killing other Christians. So I realized the physical body of Christ is the church right now. That's he literally that is him. We are one with Christ. Check it out if you think I'm crazy. Look it up. I kid you not.
Isn't it amazing to think of Saul and then think how he turned another leaf and then became the Apostle Paul?
Yes.
When I was in church this last Sunday, and this might rub people the wrong way, but it's okay. We were talking about the whole murder, like in church. We were talking about the whole murder with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
And it's like some young man murdered someone that was a Christian. And
Yes.
he was putting the word out there. But then the pastor, and then remember, we're all Christians, so
Yeah.
this affected a lot the world.
Yeah.
And we're saying, well, what happens if that kid before his execution date? Because I think they're gonna probably
Kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens if he repents, and what happens if he accepts the Lord as his savior right before he dies? What happens?
Yeah.
I think maybe it's going to be another Saul and Paul situation.
Yes.
Which is, that's and it's like if you think about the funeral that Charlie Kirk's wife was at, she was saying, "Hey, we forgive.
Yes.
We forgive him." And like that's so powerful. Like that's how powerful it is to be a Christian. And I appreciate you for promoting that into your life and promoting that on our show and our podcast, because if it wasn't for the Lord's grace and mercy, we would not have Sky Media Ventures.
No.
Because this company was created when in my room, in my apartment, none of this was even thought of. And it's just getting on my knees and saying, Lord, yes, we want to make a profit, but how can we change the world? And how can we go about it? And once again, I think the Lord does something special when he knows our hearts.
Yes.
He's like, okay, well, this is what you want to do,
Yeah.
here, put me in your midst and watch my wonders.
Like, go back to Paul again. Why I say Paul, I love Paul so much. Paul didn't sign up for this. He signed up for serving the real God, and his perception had his whole perception shifted. He was a very wealthy man. He was very high in power, from what we see. Because if you're a high Jewish official at that time, you must got bread, This is where Jesus was real gangster. And he says, "Why you persecute me, Paul?" Right? And he says, "It is hard for you to kick against the gods." In the New King James Version, you'll see it in the King James versions. It's hard for you to stop my mission. Our mission is to love people and have them experience the loving God. Paul exemplifies, and that's what we do as entrepreneurs. Point blank. If you're not doing that as an entrepreneur and you call yourself a Christian entrepreneur, I don't know what you're going to say. I don't know what to tell you about yourself. And then if you think it's going to be a rodeo of complete riches, I don't know what to tell you, because my pastor says a great thing. If you had to pick a person in the Bible right now, whose life would you swap for? Because I definitely wouldn't swap with Jesus. I definitely wouldn't swap with Paul. Not David. David died wealthy, but at the same time,
not Job.
Not Job. Definitely not Job.
Job had his whole family taken care of, killed. I think he had like 11 kids, all died in one day.
Come on. So it's like
health and wealth gone, stripped. Over a bet.
Like if we think about all this type of stuff, the life of a true Christian is a person who serves, loves, right, forgives, no matter, because that's what, and we try to embody
and forgive. Yeah, that's right.
We try to embody the true love, what we communicate as Jesus Christ, because even when he was gonna die. And he said, I could change this whole thing up. Sorry with a P, I forgot his name, but when he questioned him and says, "Yo, I have authority for your life and death," he says, "I don't give you my life. I give my life. You don't take it." Like, this is what I want to exemplify. And if it caused me to go through a little bit of financial tough times, and for people to say, "Man, you're built different," let it be. As long as my family's taken care of, as long as like my community's taken care of, and the kid back home who went through similar experiences as me could say, "Hey, he made some kind of wealth, and he actually got to make a change, impact in his community." Because that Charlie Kirk kid, like we said, if he can get the true love, yeah. If the assassin has a time to have that new Paul-like experience and possibly change somebody else's life in that prison, let it be for him. I would love it, because I want him to experience the love, get to apologize to Charlie Kirk, but also get to thank Charlie Kirk or whoever is helping him out and to knowing who Jesus Christ is Lord. If that works out for him, cool. But let it be that they all know Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior, whether you believe him or not. So
Yeah, Michael David, one of my other favorite stories in the Bible, and I just keep thinking as well. It's the story of Judas, some people say in life, hey, if he has all the money, if he's rich, he's successful. And sometimes it's like yes, you could be rich and successful, but not every rich person you see is successful.
Yeah.
Perfect example with Judas. He sold out Jesus. He
Yeah.
sold out Jesus to the Romans, I believe.
Yeah, bro.
He sold them out
To the Romans, to the oppressors.
Right. He sold them out, and then they gave him this big stack of gold or silver. They said, "Here's all your money." And then Judas said, he felt so bad, the guilt of selling out Jesus. He doesn't want the money anymore. So then, what's he do? He goes out and hangs himself.
Come on, man.
And it's like you would think, oh, if he had the money, then he's successful. But it's like, hey, it's not. Just because you have the money doesn't mean you're success. What did you do, and did you sell out? Did you sell your soul?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a story. Because in business, I'm talking to millionaires, and I know I'm going to become a millionaire, multimillionaire. Hopefully you are too. Hopefully you believe that by yourself. But it's like, I don't ever want to sell out.
No, I ain't selling out for nobody. I've seen people who, Fort Lauderdale, we have a lot of people who we used to call it hitting licks, right? Rob houses, I'm talking about these boys, jack boys, whatever you want to call them. And these boys would make some cheese. They would make some money. And I remember, or little dope boys, you know what I mean? Whatever you want to call them. And right now, a lot of them are probably in jail, probably dead, in prison, or or on the other flip of the coin, like there's a lot of people, a lot of wealthy millionaires who I know who are proud of their divorce, quote unquote. Boy, you ain't proud. You are sad that you lost your wife. You are sad that you don't have someone who loves you outside of your money. And I don't want to live like that.
That's a tough one.
I would not want. I'd rather be making $100,000 with a family and my kids are good. And
live in a mansion alone.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sell my. Why would I sell my? That can okay. You know how they talk about the Illuminati, whatever. They always talk, and I'm not gonna go down that train, but they always say, "Oh, you sold your soul." What is selling your soul? Selling your soul for your benefit, only your benefit, because the Lord cares about the community's benefit, not just my benefit. So, boy, ooh.
Michael David, we're going to wrap it up here in a couple minutes, but what's some of the best pieces of advice or one piece of advice that you received throughout your life that is some good advice? If you were talking to someone and they wanted to create their own business, they wanted to get closer to God, they wanted to experience success, the progressive realization of a worthy dream, goal, or ideal, what's a piece of advice you would give them?
That's a really good question. Fellowship and remain humble, because you don't know what God will do for you in that being humble, and like my example is Guy Shepherd, the guy who was like a second father to me, who literally, I wanted to play basketball and I'm pretty sure I could have played college. And my vision, because everybody's like, I'm going to do what I feel like is right. That we're going to live in that kind of community. But if you have community who actually can give you and guide you to a right direction, who actually care about you, they might see something past your point of view. So that's the greatest part about community. And then humble yourself, because God speaks through a burning bush. He had communication through a burning bush.
Right. To Moses.
Go
free my people.
Go free my people, dog.
Go back there.
Go back. Like that inspired him. So who is that burning bush that's gonna be speaking through you? It's gonna be a person. It's gonna be looking at a tree. Ooh. And then after you read a Bible, you say, "What the heck? What you mean that?" Yeah. So humble yourself and stay with community who actually loves you and don't want anything from you.
What's next for Michael David?
Trying to get married. I want to work with nonprofits.
Have you ever seen yourself working with the homeless?
Oh, I work with the homeless sometimes. from time to
Let me know.
time.
I volunteer at an organization called Changing Lives every Saturday. Not every Saturday, but this last Saturday I was there. So if you ever want some volunteer, and then anybody here listening, if you guys are in Boca Raton and Palm Beach County looking for volunteer options, there's an organization called Changing Lives, helps the homeless, educate them. So let me know if you ever want to.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
I love the homeless, and I love and I know God is with the marginalized. He's with the brokenhearted, so they deserve it. They need it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Michael David, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Both my parents were psyched that you were going to come on,
Ah,
and I've been excited. I've never had someone who builds nice custom made suits on the podcast. So next time I get my suit, definitely going to have to go through your services, get put on your roster with all the Dolphins and Raiders.
yeah.
But is there any last message you'd like to say to the audience before we sign off?
Don't sell out. Don't sell out on your vision. Don't sell out on your mission. Take care of yourself, but also take care of your community. See where that melding point is, because the Lord wants to take care of you and He wants to take care of others.
Absolutely. Guys, this wraps it up. Episode 9, Season 2 of the Sky Media Ventures podcast with Michael David. It's been an absolute pleasure. Don't ever forget, sky's the limit. You got this. We believe in you. Michael does, God does, and myself. We wouldn't be creating this podcast if we didn't believe in you. So guys, looking forward to some awesome more content. We got next week, we have a rapper, Turk the Savage. Week after that, we have a young man named Spirit who was homeless and now he's in homes. So we have a whole mix of different characters and stories coming on the podcast. So looking forward to sharing more value. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.